Nicole Thomas is an author and achievement coach dedicated to guiding clients towards a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment through a step-by-step approach to achieving their goals. Her books are designed to shift perspective and mindset. She is the author of the books My View from the Summit, Verse, Thought, Let's Talk, Positive Affirmation for the Soul, Hues, The Color of Life, a coloring book, and the journals. And for this, I'm grateful, dear God. A 90-day journal and a most recent work, Day 305, a short story. And on today's episode of Auto Interview, it's my utmost pleasure and joy to have on the show today Nicole Thomas. How are you doing, Nicole?
I'm doing well, Peter. Thank you for having me on the P English Literature podcast. I'm grateful to be here.
Absolutely, it's my joy too. I'm so excited to have you on the show. So, Nicole, could you tell us about your book, Day 305, a short story? How does this book come about? What inspired you to write Day 305?
The funny thing is, I enjoy writing, and I wanted to write a story that was intriguing,
Mm.
that had a plot twist and also a message. So I ended up producing Day 305.
Oh,
So, body of work just kind of showed up, and this story just came to me. Because I admire certain writers, Stephen King being one of them.
mm.
So I wanted to have a thriller, and this is my first thriller, almost like a psychological thriller in my mind.
Oh.
Mhm.
That sounds quite amazing. I love the fact that you mentioned Stephen King's. Yeah, sounds pretty much interesting to me. And I also see, Nicole, that you have another book titled Thoughts. For readers who haven't read the book yet, and of course, without giving much information away,
Mhm.
could we have a sneak of what we'd expect picking up Thoughts?
Oh, sure, Peter. So thoughts is really basically just random thoughts about
Hmm.
community, about relationships, and it's
Wow.
to shift your mindset. So when you open the book, you're just going to have different thoughts about different themes, building
Oh.
bridges, connecting, and all of this is designed to shift a person's mindset.
I
And
was
when I
gonna.
say this, the words, the language,
Oh, yeah. I was gonna ask, what genre of literature is your book?
fiction,
Oh.
fiction. Yes. So Day
Yeah.
305 is fiction. And I would probably say thoughts is more inspirational,
Mm.
motivational. Yes.
That's great. I love the sound of that. Now, Nicole, there's this question that I love asking authors that come on my show. I've always been fascinated about how authors, especially novelists like yourself, craft long sentences and bring words together in a way that it eventually makes a great novel. This oftentimes leaves me thinking about how exactly they got their ideas and inspiration. Now, I'd also love to ask you, as far as writing is concerned, how did you get your ideas and inspiration?
Oh, so my ideas come from everywhere in the community. So that's great. You go into a cafe and you overhear snippets of a conversation, or you go
Yeah.
into a restaurant or a movie theater, or even when you're walking in the street, your ears are always open, listening. And then you just take those snippets and you put them together and they become this string
Yeah.
of thought. And Peter, it's not easy. You take all this information, you type it up, and you're thinking, this doesn't even make sense. And I also think that there's divine inspiration that comes in that straightens
Yeah.
out those sentences. But I can't tell you how many times I put words on a paper and I've ripped up the paper, crumpled it up, and just threw it to the
Wow.
side. It's very real. So I get my ideas from, I say divine. The creativity comes from the divine as well
Mhm.
as from my environment.
Wow. I love the
Mhm.
sound of that. And it's so fun to know where your creativity and ideas comes from. That sounds quite relatable. Now, you also have another book titled, And for This I Am Grateful. And I particularly love that title. Sounds very captivating to me. Would you also like to talk about the making of it as well?
Oh, so I do have a copy of And for This I Am Grateful. Really
Beautiful
love
cover.
this book. Thank you. And I created this journal because I believe in gratitude.
Hmm.
Gratitude shifts your mindset. And when we look at what we have and we're grateful, it opens the door to more blessings.
Hmm.
And I created this journal mostly for me to continue to continue practicing my posture of gratitude. And I
Wow.
do believe in building or creating books that will not only help other people, but help me as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's great. I love your idea around that. That's very lovely to know.
Thank
Now,
you.
Nicole, yeah, I'm also curious to know if you experienced any challenges in the process of writing these books. If there's any, could you share with us what challenge it is and how you ultimately overcame it?
There are, as a writer, there are challenges that start with writer's block. And as I was mentioning, you have all
Yeah.
these ideas you get from the community, you're walking around, you get snippets. You take that information, those words, you put them on paper, and the next thing you know, that it doesn't make sense.
Mm,
Right? So you start writing, you write your first draft, and you read it
yeah.
and you think, oh my goodness, this is the worst. So you get rid of it, you get rid of that manuscript, you go back to the drawing board, and then you start again. And then you start to revise and you start to add more. So there are challenges when you're first getting work on the paper, making sure that the story makes sense.
Mm,
And then as you move through the process, making sure your plot makes sense. Does it make sense with your protagonist? Will the reader understand your message? And then when you publish, that's another set of challenges. So the
yeah.
initial challenge is getting the work done, right? Being consistent with all of the distractions in your life. How do you
Mm,
write a book when you have to cook dinner and you have to go to work, right? You've got to get around those distractions. And then when you get ready to publish, you also have those challenges of uh, does my story make sense? Will my
mm,
reader understand the message? Finding
yeah.
the right editor. Is my book edited properly? And I had an instance when my I didn't realize you need more than one editor. I only had one editor, an editor focusing on grammar and
Mm,
punctuation, and not an editor focusing on the development of my story. So that I had to learn
absolutely.
how to overcome and understand, close in the gaps and learn. So there's a learning phase when you're first publishing, into
Mm,
understanding that there are different types of editors. And then you get ready to publish. What does your book cover look like? What is the color scheme? So
yeah.
those are, I wouldn't say necessarily huge challenges, but they make a difference to you as the reader. And so
Absolutely.
as an author, that weight is on us to not only produce work, but also publish a product that we're proud of and that
Mm.
resonates with people.
Yeah, that's great. As authors, we need to get the best out there and take our time. So the publishing
Yes.
route and steps and method are part of the journey and sometimes can
Yes.
be a challenge. That's so
Hmm.
lovely to know.
Yes.
Now, Nicole, apart from the books we've mentioned so far, do you have any other works you've authored or maybe currently working on?
Oh, yes. Well, I have a couple. I have Let's Talk. I'm not too sure if you mentioned Let's Talk, Positive Affirmations for the Soul, but it's very similar to Thoughts. But this is
Mm,
a book of affirmations, and it does touch on affirmations uh, that are designed to shift your mindset. I am a change agent. I am a doer. Right. And so as we speak over our lives, it
mm,
changes how we think, what we think about ourselves, and how we show up.
absolutely.
And in the back of the book, the great thing is that you can write your own affirmations, and there is a section for reflections. I
Yeah.
think that reflecting in introspection is really important for our
Mm,
personal development. And another book I have is Dear God Journal. So, Dear God, a 90-day journal, it just allows you to write letters to God. I believe that when you
wow.
write letters to God, you really are praying. So you're releasing everything that's in your head and getting it out of your head onto paper and decluttering your mind so that it opens you up to divine inspiration.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, I love the sound of that. Dear letter to God.
Mhm.
Sounds very interesting to me. I
Mhm.
love the title. We all pray,
Thank
we
you.
all hope for this and that. We all have our inspiration, our aspiration as well, and something that we
Mhm.
want God to look into. And
Yes.
communicating via letter to God, it's something very important to do as humans.
Yes, yes, I truly believe that. And also in the back of the book,
Mm,
it's a 90-day journal. There is a section for reflection because I believe
wow.
that as we write letters, it doesn't just change, you know, the divine, our God changes us, but we change in the process.
Mm,
So in the back of the book, you have a recollection and it asks you, the questions are, what did you learn about yourself during the process?
mm,
Because writing changes us. And then we realize that
absolutely.
some of our answers have been prayed, or our perspective has shifted around a certain situation.
Yeah.
And I tie it to revelation and clarity.
Wow. I
Mhm.
love the sound of that, really. It really makes for an interesting discussion and an interesting read. Very lovely to
Mhm.
know. Now,
Thank you.
Nicole, could you tell us what publishing is like for a published author like yourself? Also, are there any challenges you've encountered ever since you got published?
So after publication, I think some of the I don't want to say they're challenges. I guess they are challenges, but challenges seem so negative, right? But some of the uphill moments that you
Yeah,
face after you're published is that you have to market yourself. There is no
absolutely.
marketing. You become
Yeah,
the as I was mentioning, you write, you have to have this creative aspect. After you create, you have to focus on the editing component.
yeah,
You're a one-stop shop, especially when you self-publish. And so after publishing, it becomes how do you push your work out
out.
into the world?
Yeah.
And with everyone pushing their work out, publishing, how do you stand out in a
Mm,
saturated market? What makes
yeah,
your message resonate so people go and buy your book? So that is, if we want to use the word challenge, that has been an uphill battle. Finding the market, making sure you're getting your work out there, and people know what you have to offer. And part of that is showing up, making sure you're showing up, making sure that you connect with people who, like yourself, Peter,
yeah,
who are highlighting authors so that their work can be acknowledged and people can see what authors have to offer. Marketing,
absolutely.
I'd have to say,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
is an uphill battle. It is.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the greatest aspects of book marketing. Once an author have a book out there, the major business is the marketing, getting the book to the hands of the people that need it, to the right audience. And yeah, it's quite
Mhm.
lovely to know. Now, Nicole, is there anything that you love to share with the viewers about your books that we did not mention in this interview and you'd love the viewers to know?
There is one more book that I did not highlight. I do want to
Yeah.
point out this book, and that is Hues.
Oh,
Hues. It is a coloring book. It's for both adults and children. It has illustrations, and
wow.
the purpose of this book is also to shift mindset. So it has illustrations. I work with a designer to design the book. But it has positive words. So I believe that once we plant the seed with positive words, it shifts mindset.
Yeah,
And all of this is designed. When I say this, my body of work, what I write is to change the way we think so
yeah,
that we show up differently because we are all a work in progress.
absolutely.
So that's one thing I wanted to mention. And the other thing is, no matter what journey you're on as an author, regardless of the phase that you're in, I
Mm,
encourage you not to give up.
mm,
I knew from a young age that I wanted to write, and it took me such a long time to get to this point
wow.
of publishing and then feeling really good about the work that I produce, right? There's always this doubt. Is my work good enough? Are people going to resonate with what I write?
Yeah.
I say write from the heart, keep going, and be consistent. Mhm.
Well, I love that. I love that so much. And I love the fact that you're giving all this information out. Really made for an interesting discussion. Now, Nicole, as a published author, what sort of advice do you have for other writers who are still struggling with publishing a book like yours? What would you advise people in this category?
Mhm. So for that particular category, there are a few things that I recommend. One, I recommend honing on your craft. That's something that I'm still working on, right? You're always learning. Take a master class on writing. There are online courses, there are free courses on YouTube.
Yeah,
So continue to learn and improve your craft as an artist, and then also find your tribe, find your people, join a group so that you have the support you need when you want to give up or you need advice. You have your core group, and I'm blessed to
mm,
say that I found that group. So get into a good group where people are going to help you sharpen and improve,
yeah,
and lastly, keep going. It's not going
yeah,
to happen overnight. Just keep
absolutely.
going.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's great.
Keep writing.
Absolutely. I love your advice to this, and I'm hopeful that viewers, including myself, would love to
Mhm.
utilize it. Now, Nicole, in case we have some viewers who are currently watching this interview and they would love to get a copy of your books, on what platform are they available on for purchase?
All of my books are available on Amazon.com
Yeah,
or Amazon in your area, in your community or region.
yeah,
And you can also visit my website, www.IamNicoleThomas.com.
yeah.
And Mhm. I do want to point out that my book, my recent ebook, Day 305, is an ebook. And I do get a lot of feedback that, oh, I
Wow.
don't have a Kindle. We love that, we love to purchase or support your body of work, but I don't have a Kindle. I want you to know, I want the audience to know that you can actually access the Kindle on your phone as a Kindle app, or you can read Kindle books or ebooks, Amazon ebooks on your desktop by
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
read.amazon.com.
.com. Yeah, that's great. And I left a link in the description part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Nicole Thomas' books directly on Amazon, and also left a link to our website where you can check it out. So thank you so much, Nicole, for accepting the invitation to be featured on P English Literature. It's awesome having this conversation with you.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Peter. I've enjoyed being on the podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, my dear as well. So lovely to have you on the show.